The Prime Minister made an historic apology to the LGBTQ2 community in the House of Commons today, and hundreds of people who had been directly affected by government discrimination were there to hear it. Sharp Doppler is one of those people. She served in the Canadian Navy from 1982 until she reluctantly retired in 1997. And Sharp joins me from Ottawa. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Sharp, tell me about the conditions that led to you leaving the Canadian Navy.
I worked with the Cadet Instructors Cadre, which is a subcomponent of the Canadian Forces, and we work with the Canadian Cadet Program. I enrolled, as soon as I aged out as a cadet, I enrolled as an officer in the Cadet Instructors Cadre and served well. I had an exemplary record. In around 1995, 96, it's kind of hard for me to remember the exact year, I had false allegations brought against me by two individuals. And following procedure, my commanding officer did an investigation and found them to be groundless allegations. The people then went to the next step in the chain of command and brought them to another individual who initiated a military police investigation against me. I was informed by a fellow officer who worked out of that office that I had to fight this. And when I asked him why, he told me that he had been in a conversation with this senior officer, and that the senior officer, when pressed by this other officer to, why are you doing this? Well, it's groundless. Why are you doing this? He looked at this man and said, because she's a goddamn dyke and I want her out. And he told me that there was another senior officer who had also heard this statement. That senior officer never returned any of my calls at the time, but this fellow officer wrote a letter attesting to what he had heard, and I engaged in the grievance process.
Okay, and what was it? I mean, did it have anything? I want to be very specific in how I ask this question, because I don't want a groundless accusation to end up on the air here. But what was it in the end that they were trying to charge you with? Or are you comfortable answering that question? Was it to do with your sexuality?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It was absolutely because of my sexuality. There were charges of abuse. Leveled against me, and I won't be more specific than that. But it was something that was, the whole thought of it was abhorrent to me. That I would abuse anybody in any way was completely abhorrent to me, and I had served well. I was good at what I did. I was good at connecting with youth. I would find cadets who would come to me and talk to me about other problems that they were having in their lives. I would joke that I had a penchant for picking up lost puppies. And they would come and they would talk to me, and in fact, I'm still connected with some of those former youth. They're now grown adults.
How did the investigation unfold, Sharp?
Well, as I said, my commanding officer had done his own investigation and had found the complaints against me to be groundless. I then found out that I would be subject to a military police investigation. In the early winter, January, February of 1996, the military police came to my home. They drove through a snowstorm to talk to me. It was so important, and grilled me for a couple of hours in my home at that time, and then they went away. And so what I found out after the fact was that the military police found that there were no grounds for the allegations, but the military issued against me what's called a report of shortcomings, that I had not behaved in a way that was congruent with being an officer in Her Majesty's Canadian Armed Forces and some other stuff.
What did you take that to mean?
What that means is I wouldn't be wearing this medal, this Canadian Forces decoration, which is a service medal for good conduct and good service. And that was important to me. It was important to me because I always tried to do a good job. Okay. It was important to me because I was there And I believed in what I had been taught in my basic training and stuff about the integrity and the honor of being in the military and serving in the military. And I come from a military family. My father's an American military man.
Why do you think, I mean, at the end of the day, what happened to you? Did you gave up your career reluctantly?
So I engaged in what's called a redress of grievance process with the military. The process is multi-level. You start at the level at which you have encountered the problem, and then you go progressively up through the chain of command. I had gone through it. They found that there was no discrimination against me, in spite of having an affidavit from this officer who had heard the initiator of the investigation say that he was getting rid of me because I was a goddamn dyke and he wanted me out. And it wasn't until the next summer I had actually been employed in a subordinate position than the one I had the year before. And a friend of mine asked how my grievance was going, and I said, it's not, I haven't heard anything. By then I'd done 2 levels or so in the chain of command, and he said, hey, I played golf the other day with the Vice Chief of Defense Staff. Do you want me to get him to look into it? And I said, like, that's skipping a few levels in the chain of command. He said, what do you got to lose? And I said, you're right. So he did that. He spoke to the Vice Chief of Defense Staff, who looked into my case, and within 2 weeks I had a response. And that response was that the report of shortcomings was expunged from my personnel record. I was then eligible for this Canadian Forces decoration and received it a few months later. But by that point, everybody around me was acting weird. I could tell that I had become damaged goods, I guess is the best way to put it. Even the people who supported me were, I don't have other words to describe it, I'm sorry, than weird. So I couldn't stay anymore. Like, I believed in the honor and integrity when I swore the oath that I swore when I received my commission, when I became a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. I believed in the honor and integrity that I was supposed to uphold as a military officer. And I believed that my fellow officers would have the same integrity. And that wasn't the case. And it confused me because I had never been dishonest about who I was. You know, I didn't go around, not when I was doing military stuff, saying, ooh, this is me. But if somebody asked me, I would respond. I would say, yeah, sure I am.
Sharp, I want you to take a listen once again to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau speaking earlier. I picked this clip out especially for you to listen to. Take a look.
All Canadians missed out on important contributions you would have made to our society. You were not bad soldiers, sailors, airmen and women. You were not predators, and you were not criminals. You served your country with integrity and courage. You are professionals. You are patriots, and above all, you are innocent. And for all your suffering, you deserve justice. You deserve peace. It is our collective shame that you were so mistreated. And it is our collective shame that this apology took so long. Many who suffered are no longer alive to hear these words. And for that, we are truly sorry.
Sharp, what do you think? What was it like to hear those words?
I have to admit that sitting in the gallery and listening to those words, I reacted pretty much as I just did listening to them again. To hear that very key part of my identity when I was younger, that as bad as I felt when I had to leave, to hear somebody say that I wasn't a predator, that I was innocent, that I served my country well in the small way that I did. It's powerful. I don't have another word for it. It's powerful. What it means, I don't know yet. I won't know for a while. But it's good to hear the words. And it hasn't been easy because it's dragged up, you know, stuff I put away 20 years ago. But it's good to hear the words and to hear them said in a way that sounds like they mean it.
Sharp Doppler, retired Lieutenant Navy officer in the Canadian Cadet Instructors Cadre. Sharp, thank you for sharing your story with us tonight.
Thank you.